Mario Javier, holy smokes, my guy. You had multiple people on this thread correcting you, telling you to actually reference history, and you just want to double down because you're too prideful to admit that you're wrong, and then try to tell me to read books when my whole channel is about history and genealogy. Off the cuff, you're already wrong. They lost to 400 soldiers. I'm talking about the Chichimeca. See, this is what's ridiculous, is that you're talking about the Aztecs. This has nothing to do with the Aztecs. And this is an issue I run into with a lot of people that are just really ignorant. Their education does not go beyond Hernan Cortez versus the Aztecs. It's like they act like that was the duel of the fates of the entire Americas, and after that, you know, the Spaniards just won everything. It's like, that's not how it worked, dude. The fact that you're talking about 400 soldiers beat these guys, and you're referencing Aztecs, is like, how, in what world are these people Aztecs? Please explain to me how they're Aztecs. So then we explain, we're talking about the Chichimeca War, and then you start laughing at the name. The Chichimeca was the alliance of indigenous Arab American groups that fought against the Spanish and their allies. It was comprised of multiple groups like the Guamares, the Zacatecos, the Maticoyas, the Guachichiles, among others. Even mestizos and mulattos fought on the side of the Chichimecas. The Spanish, conversely, had Mexica, so they had actual Aztecs with them. They had Tlaxcaltecas, they had Otomís, and other groups they had subjugated going against the Arab American group. Even so, the Spanish did not win militarily, and that was the whole point that I was stating and that you kept trying to ignore because you want to just fanboy for the Spanish. And don't get me wrong, if you're proud of your European roots, that's perfectly fine. I have some cool European lines myself. But what's not fine is literally fanboying so hard you're going to deny actual history, or just being so prideful you can't admit when you're wrong, that you got the wrong war in mind from the get-go. You could have just simply admitted that, oh, my bad, I didn't know what war we were talking about. You should have just said, I have studied the Chichimeca War extensively. I've read through this whole book in English and in Spanish by Philip Wayne Powell, which is a leading historian that studied this. Let's go to page 203. It took slightly more than a decade of intelligent peace-by-purchase policy to achieve what 4 decades of wartime had been unable to accomplish. It's stated right here, it was not a military victory. They had to pay the Arab American groups to stop fighting because they couldn't keep up with it. The Spanish had a policy of war of fire and blood, where they were just trying to exterminate the Arab American groups, and that only made things worse. They could not keep up with them. The Arab American groups were very good fighters. They had very effective guerrilla tactics. They had a diverse set of leaders. So it wasn't just like coming into a city and just conquering it. That's not how it worked. This is another source by Philip Wayne Powell published in the Hispanic American Historical Review. This is a direct quote from the viceroy at the time from 1568 to 1580, Martin Enriquez, who stated that the Chichimeca still remained to be conquered and that all the Spaniards of New Spain would not suffice for the task. This was the guy literally running the war. And he stated this, they could not be beaten militarily. And yet you have here yourself, who's super arrogant and just caping for the Spanish, that wants to deny history just because you're a fanboy or you're just too prideful. So the next time, please learn to identify different indigenous groups on site. These are clearly not Aztecs. And also just take your own advice.